Hey guys, so last time I talked about the MCAT, and today I'm going to be talking about the MMI. Also, side note, the person who requested the MMI, I'm pretty sure you already had yours, so I'm kind of sorry for that, buddy, but hopefully you get another one and this will help then. Yeah, going on, MMI is, what is that? So MMI stands for multiple mini interview. It's another interviewing style that admissions will keep to assess an interviewer or an applicant. What they want to see that an MMI shows is how do you think on the spot, and it shows some more like interpersonal communication skills. Because for a traditional interview, you can kind of prepare things, you can practice the really common interview questions, and you can be good at going in and talking about yourself. But when you're a physician, like each scenario and each patient is unique. So they want to see how you interact in those sorts of settings. Really, if you are a talkative, outgoing person, and MMI is probably going to be pretty comfortable for you. If you aren't, I've heard people recommend just pushing yourself to go out and talk to strangers at the grocery store, or if you're at work and you normally just stay to yourself, start talking to your coworkers a little bit more. It kind of sounds like it's a personality, it's better for certain types of personalities than others, but I don't know, that kind of means that they're looking for a certain type of personality at their school, and so they might have questions that are more so focused at recruiting those sort of people. Honestly though, I think that they know that these are some tough situations that they're presenting to the applicants, so don't beat yourself up if you don't feel like your answer goes perfectly as planned. So I had an MMI in October, and I thought it was like really, really bad. But when I was talking in the room, I was just totally being myself with the actor, and I guess they liked it because I got an acceptance from there. But basically what I'm trying to say is you might think you aren't doing good, but they aren't judging you really on how good your answer is. They're judging you on your communication skills and your critical thought processes. So to prepare for an MMI, beyond just having like a talkative, outgoing personality, I don't think you necessarily need to have that. Because there's lots of different types of personalities that go into medicine. I don't really think that you should be like dissuaded into going to medicine because you've heard that like medicine is for one certain type of person. There's like a lot of diversity in med schools nowadays, so yeah, don't get dismayed, don't quit. Sorry, I did not prepare notes for this. This is all coming off my head as I talk. So my tips, right? What I would say is tip number 1, go online, type in MMI sample prompts, and you're gonna come up, or Google's gonna come up with like a million, trillion, billion different prompts, and you are not going to be able to prepare for all of them. So if that stresses you out, don't look at all of them. What you're going to do with these prompts though, like why is Farneet telling me to look at these prompts when I'm not going to even be able to do all of them? This is why, bud. So 1, there's going to be some like more common prompts, and I would recommend looking at it's like the solution pipeline or something on YouTube. My health professionals advisor actually told me to look on it, and what I found it helpful for is it kind of opened up my mind to how I should be looking and thinking of alternative solutions to a scenario. Because when you're one thing I'm all over the place, but MMIs, there's not just one type of MMI, there's a whole bunch, and you can call them MMI stations. There's different types of stations, and you can Also, probably the AMC has more information on this, but sometimes there's like an acting station. I think scenario stations are the most common. I think they're also the most relaxed and chill. There's some, like, there's a possibility that you're going to get a teamwork station, which I think also is fun. There's building more hands-on stations. So you have like a wide variety of things that you could be doing in these multiple mini interviews. And they're behind closed doors, so you don't know what you're going to be doing until you open that door, except for there's going to be a prompt. So I guess you kind of know what you're doing, and but you have 2 minutes to prepare for what you're going to say, what you're going to do. And on that note, I would say that this is tip number 2, is practice being able to look at something novel, some novel presentation or scenario, and being able to jot down bullet point notes on what you would do in 2 minutes. So preparing for the MMI is preparing how to prepare, if that makes sense. So you're practicing preparing in 2 minutes. So getting good at coming up with ideas in 2 minutes, and these ideas should be ones in which you form an, so what you're going to try to accomplish in those 2 minutes, I would say, is form an opinion, then some backup things to support that opinion. And then you want to also recognize alternative opinions, because when you're working in a team, like, sure, you should know how you stand on a topic, but you should also be able to understand and have empathy for alternative views. And you should be able to really see how someone else could appreciate one aspect, but you still stand for this. So they want to see that you have flexibility and you have understanding just beyond like narrow-mindedness, because I personally think that it's important that a physician have an open mind, that they have a growth mindset, and you can really show that in how you talk about a presented scenario or situation. So that was tip number 2. And then tip number 3, I would say, is don't get stressed about not preparing, because like I said, there's a million different scenarios. They can come up with something silly like defend why tacos are better than nachos or something, and then you have to say something like that. That actually won't come up, but that's like just an example. Like, they can come up with whatever they want. I remember when I went to like this health conference a couple years ago, one of the examples was that this older guy fails his test driving test, and you're like the teacher at the driving school, and you have to like console him and really handle the situation, like he's crying. So they want to see how you interact with someone who's in stress, even if it's not medically related. So I guess those are my 3 tips. My number 1 was look up practice scenarios. Number 2, I guess there's more. Number 2 would be go to YouTube and look at that pipeline solution guide, MMI, something like that. And then number 3 would be practice reading these situations in 2 minutes, and then coming up with some bullet point ideas that you could go in and talk about. And practice, you can do 2 different types of practices. One of them practicing writing them down on paper, because some schools will let you have a paper and a clipboard on which you can document your thoughts. That being said, when you enter the room, don't rely on that paper. The alternative would be one of the other MMIs I went to. We didn't get a paper, and you really had to just retain your thoughts and what you were going to say up in here. And so, so when you're practicing, don't expect that you're going to be given paper, because you may or may not. And then tip number 3 was the don't stress thing. Really, MMIs, if you don't have time to do any of the other things I discussed about, you totally could do fine on your MMI. Really just be yourself. That's one thing that's similar with a traditional interview, is you really, you'll do your best when you're yourself, because your ideas will come across as more genuine and sincere, and that it'll come off more of a conversation, because an MMI really is looking at your interpersonal and communication skills. So if you come in too prepared and too rehearsed, I don't think that would reflect very well. And then, I don't know if I said this, but when you're done with your MMI, you might think you like totally bombed it in a bad way, like you did not do good at all. That's how I felt. And then I got an acceptance call. So it's really like hard to tell how they're judging you. Usually these MMIs will also have like a traditional interview station. I would say they definitely have that because really there's some MMIs are great and there's a lot information admissions can gain from them, but I think that there's certain things that only a traditional interview will give the admissions board, so prepare for that too. I'm willing to say like there will always be one station that's a traditional interview station. Yeah, so those are my tips for the MMI. If you have any specific questions, please let me know. This wasn't very well prepared, as always, and so I didn't go too much in depth. It was just more breath and rambling. So feel free to ask specific questions about the MMI. I don't think I'm an MMI expert, but I will definitely try to help as much as I can. And just want to assure you that you'll be fine. Go in there, be confident, be you, and don't stress if you don't talk for the entire 8 minutes, because you really, if you can even reach like the 4 or 5 minute mark, they have prepared follow-up questions. They won't let you sit in an awkward silence. And these follow-up questions will usually be related to the topic, just going deeper into it. So they're kind of helping you provide them with more sophisticated, more critical thoughts. But at the same time, like I had one station and I talked for like 4 or 5 minutes and she really liked what I said, and she actually said that. She's like, oh yeah, I don't think I can really like trick you anymore. And we just talked about me and like where I grew up and like different service activities that physician was doing. So it was very conversational. Another one of them, I could clearly see her reading off of the pre-prepared follow-up questions. And sometimes like you may have covered the answers to these, but like these people who are doing your MMIs are volunteers. Like they have lives outside, so maybe they didn't prepare as well, so they might just read off of a paper even though you've covered those in your answer. And it's fine to repeat yourself because that shows that you're firm on your point. Really, there's no right or wrong with MMIs. It's your opinion, and as long as you're fair and balanced in that opinion, I think that's okay. Yeah, so again, thank you for watching, and let me know if you want me to cover a certain topic next video. Yeah. Hold up, one last thing. So if you have a bad station in the middle of your MMI, don't let it get to you. Just positive thoughts, happy thoughts, like, oh man, I just killed that one, even if you didn't. And the reason for that being is you'll go into your next station and you'll continue to do good. Otherwise, you're just gonna keep thinking about the previous station. Don't do that. Number 1 rule, don't dwell on the past. Don't do it, and keep going, keep pushing forward. Yes, also, sorry mommy, I think I ate all your beanies.